She was only 17, but she poured her whole heart into it. For 3 days my daughter cooked like her future depended on it, kneading dough at dawn, handwriting menus, curling her hair as if it were her wedding day. This wasn't just food. It was her way of saying, see me, notice me, love me. And then, with the swipe of a phone screen, it was all taken away. A single text. We've decided to celebrate at a restaurant. Adults only. No apology. No explanation. Just silence where her laughter should have been. I watched her face crumble as she stared at the cake she had built with her bare hands, tears sliding down her cheeks in a quiet heartbreak no one else would even acknowledge. I knew that pain because I had lived it. Forgotten, overlooked, treated as if I never measured up. But watching my daughter, my bright, determined, extraordinary girl, break under the same cruelty, I couldn't let it happen again. So I made a choice. That night they thought they had erased her. But what they didn't know was that I was about to make her shine brighter than they ever imagined. My 17-year-old daughter spent 3 days cooking for 25 people for my mother's birthday party. She planned it down to the last sprig of parsley, every plate, every candle. And then, just hours before guests were supposed to arrive, I got a message that shattered her. We've decided to celebrate at a restaurant. Adults only. That was it. No apology, no explanation. Just those words sitting on my phone screen while my daughter was standing 3 feet away, icing a cake she had worked on since dawn. I didn't make a scene right away. But I did something else. Something they'll never forget. A week earlier, Ava had come to me with a spark in her eyes I hadn't seen in months. Mom, can I cook the whole party this year? All of it. Grandma's birthday dinner. I hesitated. I knew how my family was. My mother, in particular, has always loved to compare, criticize, and diminish anything that doesn't come from her favorite, my older sister. I knew the risk Ava was taking. But when I saw the determination in her face, I couldn't say no. Are you sure? I asked. Yes, she said, nodding hard. I want to show them what I can do. So I let her. For 3 days she lived in that kitchen. She woke up at 5 a.m., humming along to her playlist while she kneaded dough, marinated meats, whipped frosting. She checked every dietary restriction, every allergy. She tested recipes until they were perfect. She even borrowed cookbooks from the library so she could design a menu that looked professional. The house smelled like butter, thyme, garlic, and sugar all blended into some magical perfume. She hand-wrote menus, decorated the table with flowers, and curled her hair that morning as if it were her own wedding day. And then my phone buzzed. I thought it was a family member saying they were on their way. Instead, it was my father in the group chat. We've decided to celebrate at a restaurant. Adults only. At first I thought it was a mistake. Joke. Surely no one would cancel a 25-person home-cooked dinner just hours before. Surely no one would do that to a girl who had poured her soul into it. But then I called. Dad, what's going on? Ava's been cooking for days. Oh, honey, he said lightly. It was just easier this way. We're already here. The food looks great. Don't make this a big deal. I clenched the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. She cooked for 25 people. She's been working since dawn. Well, she can freeze it, can't she? Gotta go, the waiter's here. Blick. I stood there shaking. My chest burned. Then I called my mother. Mom, did you really just cancel? She sighed like I was the dramatic one. Jenna, don't start. We thought it would be more convenient. And honestly, it's safer. She's 17. What if someone got sick from her food? She sanitized everything. She took classes. It's not real cooking, Jenna. Not like at a restaurant. Don't guilt us. I hung up before I screamed. My sister was no better. Don't make this about Ava. She's young, she'll get over it. We didn't want to be her test subjects. Test subjects, like my daughter was some kind of science experiment. I turned around to find Ava staring at me. She had seen my face. She reached for my phone, scrolled through the chat, and saw the pictures already flooding in. My family, clinking glasses at a long restaurant table. My parents smiling, my sister's kids laughing, plates already full. Ava's face collapsed in on itself. No screaming. No tantrum. Just broken silence. Tears slid down her cheeks as if she was too embarrassed to even cry loudly. She set the phone down gently, turned to the 3-tier cake she had made. Lavender frosting, piped roses. Happy 68th Grandma written in dark chocolate, and just stared. That was the moment I decided, no, not again. Not this time. See, I know that pain. I lived it. I was the second daughter, the unplanned one. My sister was adored, celebrated, applauded. I was the mistake they made work. My interests, building, tinkering, running a business, were ignored. Hers, ballet, dance, literature, were bankrolled. I spent years being invisible. And now they were doing it to Ava. My daughter. My heart. Not this time. So while they were sipping wine at some overpriced restaurant, I was already planning my revenge. Called my husband first. I need you home now. Then I started calling everyone else. Not family. Never again, but friends, neighbors, anyone I could think of. My daughter spent 3 days cooking a feast for her grandmother's birthday, I said. They ditched her. We have food for 25 people. Come eat. It wasn't an invitation. It was a summons. And people came. By the time my husband pulled into the driveway, 2 neighbors had already parked. A woman from my book club arrived with flowers. My cousin Sam, the one my parents always excluded for being too political, showed up with his whole family. Ava panicked. Mom, what are you doing? I looked her dead in the eye. You made this food. This isn't pity, it's defiance. They won't erase you. She blinked, stunned, but I could see the tiniest spark light back up in her. We pulled out folding chairs, shoved tables together, lit every candle in the house. And by 7 p.m. our living room was full. 23 people. Every single seat taken. Ava stood frozen in the kitchen, apron on, cheeks flushed, whispering, Do I serve the appetizers now? I squeezed her hand. No. You serve your menu. A hush fell over the room as Ava carried out the first appetizer course. Tiny rosemary tarts filled with caramelized onions and goat cheese. Her hands trembled, but she placed each plate like she was on a cooking show. First I worried people were just being polite. But then came the murmurs. Oh wow, this crust. Is that lavender in the glaze? This tastes like something from a 5-star place. Ava's cheeks flushed pink. She bit her lip, pretending not to hear, but her shoulders straightened just a little. By the second course, duck with a pomegranate reduction, people were clapping. Actual applause at the dinner table. And then, halfway through the third course, the journalist walked in. I hadn't invited her. Someone else had. A friend of a neighbor, apparently, who happened to write for a local food magazine. She had a camera slung over one shoulder and an appetite for drama. I heard what happened, she said, lowering her voice. Mind if I taste a few things? I glanced at Ava, who looked like a deer about to bolt. But I nodded. The journalist didn't just taste. She photographed, asked questions, scribbled notes. At one point she leaned toward me and whispered, You know, she's better than some professionals I've reviewed, right? I swallowed hard. Tell her that. By dessert, the 3-tier lavender cake. Ava got a standing ovation. 23 people rose from their seats, glasses raised, to toast her. To the girl who cooked an entire feast, who didn't quit when she was kicked down, and whose food tastes better than any restaurant in town. She blushed so hard I thought she might faint. But she was smiling. A real smile. The kind that lights up a whole room. That was the moment I let myself breathe. But the night wasn't over. At 2 a.m., long after everyone had gone, I was washing dishes when my phone buzzed. Link. From the journalist. The headline. The birthday that wasn't. How a teen chef cooked for 25, got abandoned, and ended up hosting the most memorable dinner of the year. The article didn't just rave about the food. Told the story. How my parents canceled last minute, how Ava's work was dismissed, how the family chose a restaurant instead, and how they'd even used my card to pay for it. Names weren't mentioned, but Ava was, and the story was already blowing up. I scrolled the comments, heart pounding. She's amazing, where can I eat her food? Who leaves their own granddaughter like that? This family is toxic. I looked over at Ava, asleep on the couch, apron still on, hands curled like she was holding an invisible whisk. And I knew this wasn't the end. The knock came the next day. Not a polite knock. Pounding, angry one. I peeked out the window and almost laughed. My parents, matching windbreakers. My sister behind them, arms crossed like a villain in a soap opera. Open the door. They pushed past me. You need to fix this, my dad snapped. Do you know what you've done to our reputation? I folded my arms. What I've done? My mom's voice was shrill. That article humiliated us. Everyone at church read it. Our neighbors. Do you realize the damage? I raised an eyebrow. Oh, devastating. That's when my sister stepped forward, her voice trembling with fake calm. You need to tell people it was exaggerated. That it was taken out of context. Taken out of context. I barked a laugh. Did someone hack your phone and send those texts? Did I imagine the $1,300 charge on my card? Did Ava hallucinate the photos of you at the restaurant? My mom's face twisted. She made us look like monsters. I dropped my voice low and sharp. No, you did that yourselves. She just cooked. That set them off. They shouted, pointing fingers, throwing blame. My mom said Ava was too dramatic. My dad claimed she humiliated the family. My sister muttered that Ava should be ashamed of herself. And that's when I felt Ava step into the hallway behind me. She had been listening. Her eyes were red, but her back was straight. You should be ashamed of yourselves, she said, her voice trembling but steady. They froze. My 17-year-old daughter had just said the one thing I never had the courage to. I moved to stand in front of her, but my husband beat me to it. He had just walked in, still in his work boots, and planted himself like a wall between us and them. Out, he said, his voice like stone. My dad scoffed. This is a family matter. No, this is my home. And you don't get to scream at a girl who spent 3 days making you dinner. They hesitated, shocked he wasn't bending. Leave, he repeated. Or I'll help you out. For once my parents had no comeback. They sputtered, grabbed their jackets, and stormed out with my sister trailing behind, muttering about betrayal. The door slammed. Silence. And then Ava burst into tears. But this time they weren't the quiet, defeated tears from the day before. These were the messy, relieved, furious tears of someone who had finally been defended. I wrapped my arms around her. My husband put a hand on both our shoulders. And for the first time in years I felt free. Over the next week the article went viral. Local news picked it up. A small culinary school reached out, offering Ava a chance to tour their kitchens. A bakery in town invited her to do a weekend workshop. My parents tried damage control, of course. They called. They emailed. They even sent flowers. But it was too late. Ava had tasted something far more powerful than their approval. She had tasted validation. And me. I had tasted revenge. Sweet, layered and served cold, just like the cake still sitting in our fridge. 'Cause here's the thing about family. They can either feed your fire or they can smother it. And if they choose to smother it, sometimes the best revenge is letting the whole world watch you burn brighter than they ever imagined.